Hi, this is Dwan, and I wanted to talk a little bit about one more piece of the retreat, and that's the surrender service. It's really just a time that's set aside to intentionally kind of do business with God. I mean, that ultimately that can look different for all of us, but the surrender service is just a time to really ask God, is there something in our relationship that's getting in the way? I think we can understand that in any number of other relationships, that as we go down the journey of relationship, that sometimes we can let things kind of come in, whether it's a frustration or something that bothers us about the other person, or maybe it's just a pattern that we get into that we aren't maybe paying attention to, but that perhaps is getting in the way in that relationship. And that happens in our relationship with God as well. And sometimes it's an area of sin or an area of compromise, but other times it's just something that may have started out as something valuable, but then maybe isn't at the moment, or that we haven't realized how it has affected our relationship with God. And so a big piece of the surrender service is really kind of leading up to it, but also sometimes in the evening, is just asking God, is there something that's in the way in our relationship? And really being open in that question. It's a vulnerable question. In relationships in general, we can also say that it's like, hey, it feels like there's some distance, or it feels like there's some struggle in our relationship. And even in relationships that are going well, it's kind of like, how do you feel like things are going in our relationship? And so I believe there's value in asking that of God too. Of saying, will you reveal anything in me that's kind of getting in the way in our relationship? And so then the surrender service is an opportunity to take a step of faith and say, God, I surrender this to you. I want more of you, and I want you to fill that space that this thing is held. And so I'm going to trust you, and just trust that you're going to take care of me, that you're going to meet the need that I have, and so that I'm willing to surrender that in an effort to follow you more, to receive more of you. And we often don't know how the space is going to be filled. And so that's why it's an act of faith, an act of trust, just saying, God, I desire you more than all these things. And really, surrender, I believe, is intended to be a regular rhythm of our lives and a regular rhythm of our relationship with God, that as we walk with God, things that maybe felt like they were okay or acceptable for us to engage in at certain points in our journey, later on we realize, that may have served a purpose, or it may have been valuable, but there's value in releasing that and letting that go as well at different stages of our journey. And also, the longer that we walk with God, the more that we see and realize things, the more that we see the world from His perspective, we see our lives from His perspective, and so we can often see things that we didn't see at the beginning. And I believe that's God's grace too, that He doesn't just kind of give us a laundry list of things like, here's everything you need to change whenever we come into relationship with Him. But then as we walk with Him more, as we journey with Him, that we then realize there are things that He wants to redeem, He wants to transform, He wants to sanctify every area of us. And that's really a lifelong process, that there's lots of things that He wants to do in us. And so the surrender service at the retreat is a great opportunity to engage with that, and also in the context of community, context of relationship with others. And so I want to encourage you to be praying into that, even of just saying, God, is there something that's getting in the way in our relationship? And then the surrender service is a great opportunity to engage with that, to take a step in that, to put a marker in the sand and say, this is the moment when I decided I wanted to surrender this, and in that to express faith and trust in God. And so the Pastor Ministry Leader Retreat is coming up May 31st to June 2nd. Surrender service is one piece of the weekend. And so I hope that you'll be able to join us and to be a part of seeing what God wants to do in you and in all of us through you as well. And so I look forward to that time with you. Thanks.